This is how I've seen other people show you how to make corned beef. Oh look, I told you guys to take it out of the package before I show them on camera. They don't actually make their corned beef, they get it out of a package.
We're brining it ourselves.
Hey everybody, I'm Chef Dad, and this is my homemade corned beef and cabbage. Okay, we got a limited amount of time before St. Patty's Day, so we've got to get a corned beef going. I'm going to walk you through how I brine my corned beef. This is 17-pound brisket. We're going to cut it down, get some of the fat trimmed off of it. The recipe that is in the description is going to be for about 4 pounds. We've got a pot of water. We're going to get this boiling so that we can get everything incorporated into it. So we're going to go in with our salt, our brown sugar, black pepper. We're going to take our red pepper flakes. We're going to put them in our mortar. And we're just going to give them a light little crush. We've got some ginger. We got some mustard seeds and coriander seeds. And I'm just going to do a light crush on those. I don't want to break into a bunch of pieces. I just want to get them open just a little bit so that over the 5 to 7 days this is in the fridge, we'll get all of that sweet aroma out of them and into our meat. We have some allspice here. We've got our cloves, which I'm going to add those at the end, just directly in. Cardamom pods, and I'm not going to pulverize them. I just want a nice crack of them. See how they all cracked open? Okay, in. And then 3 bay leaves, break them up a little bit. So I've got garlic. I'm just going to crush my garlic, make sure it's all crushed, and then throw them in. So the rest of that's going to go in after I get this to a boil. Bring this over here. Okay, we're going to take our whisk and we're going to move this around. All we're trying to do is get all of the sugar and salt dissolved. So we're just going to continue to do this until it's all dissolved. Okay, we're going to turn that heat off. We're going to take this right back over here. And while it's still hot, I'm going to put the rest of the stuff in except for the prog powder. I'm going to take my cloves and I'm going to just very lightly, just very lightly dump those in. Cinnamon sticks here, and I'm just going to break them. So in here right now I put in 2 quarts of water. I'm going to put in another roughly 2 quarts right now just to start cooling that down a little faster. Don't want to cook our meat. Okay, now we just got to wait for this to cool down so that we can get it into the briner bucket. Okay, I didn't put in the prog powder, #1 cure, whatever you want to call it, yet. I'm going to do that after it's cooled down and I get all the meat into the container, and then I'll put it over the top of it and give it a little swirl because I don't want the nitrates to start breaking down now in the hot liquid. I want them to break down inside the meat. All right, so what do we got? We got a 17-pound brisket. You don't want to get rid of all the fat when you do a corned beef, but you also don't need this much fat. This is quite a fatty brisket. So you can see there's a lot of fat on here. Paid a lot for this fat. Okay, so we're going to end up coming in here, cutting out a lot of this heavy fat, which you can see here on this side. This is a big old chunk of fat. Save your brisket trimmings because it makes good fat for making sausages or putting into your burger grind. So if you get a little bit of that meat with it, it's okay. Don't worry. Definitely just don't want this much fat in my corned beef. Still got a healthy layer of fat in there. You do want some fat in your corned beef though. It's not going to hurt anything to have it in there. I just don't want this much. We're going to clean up these edges too, because if you see a gray layer, that means they hot pressure washed it when they were cleaning it. Not going to hurt you. Like this discoloration here, that gray color, not the best meat you can get. So I'm just going to clean it off. It will make good burger grind. It's not going to hurt. So you can definitely see the transition between the point and that flat meat here. 2 separate muscles. We'll just cut these 2 muscles apart. And that's going to give us 2 separate muscles that we're going to brine in here. And it'll kind of make it easier to make one into lunch meat and one into traditional corned beef and cabbage. So you can see when you get here, that separation of the 2 muscles. The point does go a little bit further, and we'll do a little bit more trimming on this side here where it's got that discolored meat. But it's not going to hurt anything just to cut it right like that. So we got our point meat and we got our flat meat. we're just gonna go through and we're gonna clean up this point. And it may end up being less than 14 pounds when I'm done with this. There's a lot of fat. That's that discolored edge I'm gonna get rid of. So the point has intermuscular fat. It's got a lot of intermuscular fat, so it's going to stay moist. So we're not too worried about leaving much fat on the outside, but I'm going to leave just enough to make sure that it stays moist. I'm going to put a lid on this and I'm going to take it outside. I'm going to put it outside so that it continues to cool down faster because we're in Alaska and it's cold outside. Put it out there so by the time I'm done with the point, with the flat, we'll be able to bring it back in and get it in the briner bucket. Okay, so now let's move on to this point. The point does not have nearly as much fat, intermuscular fat. So we do want to leave a little bit on here, depending on how you cook your corned beef. If you do it in a crock pot, this much fat's gonna make it like snot. Any of this stuff like this right here will break down during the cooking process. I'm gonna call that good. We got our flat, we got our point, and we are ready to brine them. I could sit here all day and nitpick and keep cutting. OCD when it comes to my meat. Let's bring our briner bucket over. I did buy this from ATT Barbecue. The problem is, they don't ship to Alaska. So I had to have it shipped to Milwaukee, because my wife had to go to Milwaukee, just so she could pick these up. Instead of it costing 70 bucks for the set of 3, we also had to fly clear across the country. Okay, let's go get our brine. It's cooled enough so that I can touch the sides of it. But it is quite warm still. So, I'm gonna go in with some ice. All right, then I'm just gonna go in with probably another 2 quarts, quart and a half, along with the ice. That way we cool this down. Okay, I'm gonna dump this in. I'm gonna grab me a spoon. I'm gonna move it around. And I said I was gonna wait till the meat was in there, but I'm gonna put in the number 2 or number 1 cure right now. Other than preserve the meat, it's going to make it that nice red color. Then we can check the, okay. Temperature's good, it's not hot. Every day I'm gonna end up moving these around. So first I'm gonna go in with the point, then I'm gonna go in with my flat. And as long as they're below the water line, they're perfect. So the nice thing about these briner buckets, they come with this little compression lid. And just feed it down along those ribs. Once you contact the meat, spin it, and that will hold everything down underneath. So every day I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna move them around. And that's gonna make it so that this penetrates nicely into the meat. Get the lid on this and we're gonna get it out in the fridge. And we're done, other than mixing it around every day for the next 7 days. We're gonna go put it out in the fridge and we'll check it tomorrow. Okay, so beef has been in here for 24 hours. Smells really good. Pull this lid. You can see it's already changed the meat some. Roll the point to the top this time. You can see where the pieces of meat touched. You got that red color still in there. So we're just gonna shuffle everything around, make sure that liquid gets pushed around a little bit. And we're gonna go right back on with our lid to make sure everything stays below the water. Now we're gonna go put it back in the fridge and do that again in 24 hours. Okay, here we are 48 hours into our corned beef soak. This is what the top of the water looks like. It smells good. Let's take a look. So there's that point, definitely getting some color. You can see where it was curled over there. We still have some red color. That's all right. It's gonna be just fine. Grab out the flat and we're gonna change positions with these two. So, and then you can see it's penetrating deep in there and it's turning it red too. That's from that prog powder. Shuffle everything in, stir it up, and we're gonna put this back out in the fridge. We still got 5 more days. 72 hours. Oh yeah. Seeing some major changes. It's way firmer than it was. Getting good penetration of all the salt and aromats that we got in here. Point meat And it smells like so good. Just move these around, make sure this liquid gets pushed around, put the lid on, make sure everything stays below the liquid level. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, here we are, 96 hours in. Corned beef check. Point meat. Oh man, looks so good. Smells so amazing. Look at that flat meat. We're getting like perfect penetration. It's gonna be good. So we'll get it back out in the fridge and we'll check it again tomorrow. Here we are, 120 hours in. Look at this beautiful flat here. The meat is discolored, it looks different. That's because of the penetration of all the seasonings, the salts, that pink prog. This is what you want. You want it to start changing. It's a lot firmer. I mean, this is way denser than it was before. Let's go ahead and pull that point out, take a look at it. Gorgeous. That's cinnamon. All right, so we got to put this back together and get it out in the fridge. Just make sure you keep everything below the liquid surface. Okay, here we are, 144 hours in. You can see the fluid in there. Beautiful. There's that nice point meat. So this will be the last day. Tomorrow we're going to end up cooking corned beef. And then there's the flat. Beautiful. I think we might turn the flat into lunch meat. Make sure it's all below fluid. We've had this conversation many times now. Now, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and we'll cook some corned beef. Here we are, 168 hours in. Our corned beef is ready to go. Let's take a look at our corned beef. On top, we got our flat. Take a look at it. We are actually going to package our flat and save it. What we're after right now is our point meat. And here it is. Well, look at this. And the nice thing about this pot is I can set that entire thing down in there. And I want to put a little bit of a sear on this. So after we sear this just a little bit, we're gonna put some water in there and let it go for a few hours. We're gonna turn it down on just a simmer, let it go for a few hours. Then we are going to add in our potatoes and then last our cabbage because we don't want soggy cabbage. Okay, I'm just gonna flip it. Let's flip it. Oh, look at that beautifulness. Now I'm just gonna add enough water to almost submerge it. And I went in with just lukewarm water. I didn't go in with hot water because I didn't want to shock that meat and I didn't want that hot water to start cooking the meat. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down to a low heat. I'm gonna put the lid on. Now we just need this to simmer, so we're just gonna let it sit. We'll check it here in a little bit. Okay, here we go. The corned beef's been on for a while. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, look at that thing. As you can see, it's starting to break apart. Getting probe tender. It's not ready yet. We've got about an hour, which is perfect because at this point, what we're gonna do, we got some nice, beautiful potatoes. Potatoes. Put them in, make sure they get in the water. Okay, I am going to bump the temperature just a little bit. We're gonna get this covered back up. We are not gonna put that cabbage in until the last about 10 minutes. I don't want mushy cabbage. We're gonna put the lid back on and let it get back up to a boil for about 35 minutes. Okay, let's get our cabbage prepped. Cut it in half. So just cut in a shape of a V. Same thing with this one. And we're gonna gut. Okay, that's ready to go in.
I was gonna say, that's not how your dad does it.
Did you just hear that? She just said that's not how my dad does it. Do you want me to cut it like he cuts it?
No, you're fine.
Do I need to cut it how he, fine, I'll cut it how he cuts it.
You don't have to do it.
Dad knows best. He doesn't have a YouTube channel. Okay, that's as far as I'm cutting them. I'm happy with what I did, even if my wife's not. That's not the way your dad does it. You broke my heart. But if you like your cabbage nice and good, put it in after your potatoes are ready. How do you know if your potatoes are ready? Should be fork tender. It is starting to flake apart just a little bit. So now is the perfect time to get that cabbage in there. Just break it up a little bit, and then we're gonna let it steam, crank that temperature up high. I'm gonna lay that lid right back on top. Cabbage is gonna take 5 to 8 minutes. Here we go. Take a look. It's beautiful. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Look at the internals of this. Look at this. Let's see how that, it's got enough gelatin it still holds together, but it, oh yes, this is gonna be perfect. Now, we gotta give this a try. Smells amazing. Whoa, that is so much better than a store-bought corned beef.
That is really good.
That's super good.
Definitely worth the 7 days.
A little piece of corned beef, a little piece of potato, a little piece of the cabbage. That turned out like beyond what it should. Make your own corned beef. That is definitely the way to go. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. YouTube picked this video for you. I picked this video for you. Right over here is the subscription button. I appreciate all of you. Keep sending in the comments. You are all amazing. I truly do appreciate it.